What's good, 8th grade? It is Mr. Singh coming out with another video. It is Sean Academy. You're going to be talking about today exit ticket that deals with electrical forces. So the question was, what type of force interactions do electrical charges produce? Describe them. We've all had experience in our day-to-day lives with electricity, and we're going to look a little further into how that's produced, and it might have to do something with those green circles on the right side of the screen that are spinning around, those electrons. Let's remind ourselves about what actually is a force. So, Patrick can help us out on this one.
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else. That idea may just be crazy enough to get us all killed.
Yeah, so we all know that a force can be a push, but it can also be a pull. So it's always something that's moving. Electrical force also is a push or a pull, but it's a little more interesting than that. When we talk about forces that are pushing each other with electrical force, we talk about an interaction between two like charges. It could be two positive charges, like I've shown here, or it could be two negative charges. Remember, electrical charges have field lines just like magnets, and those two objects, those two like objects are going to repel. That means they're going to push apart. But we've also seen an interaction where we see objects pulling together. So here we see the balloon and the paper, and they came together. If we look at their field lines, we'll see that they are connecting together, and the negative charge is attracted to the positive charge. They are pulling each other together. So that's what we mean when we talk about electrical forces. One is attraction and one is repulsion, push and pull. So what exactly happened when we took the balloon and it got in contact with the wool cloth? Right now, both the balloon and the wool cloth were neutral. Meaning, if you look at the balloon, you'll see 4 positive charges and 4 negative charges. That means there's no more positive charges than there are negative, which means it's neutral. Similarly, with the wool cloth, you have 4 positive charges, 4 negative charges. That means the positive charges don't outnumber the negative charges, and similarly, there aren't more negative charges than positive. So the net total is 0. But what happens when you put them in contact with each other is something magical happens. All the negative charges end up moving to the balloon. Now, right now, you don't need to know why that happens, but just know that those negative charges move over, and what that causes is these objects to get charged. So if you now count the amount of charges on the balloon, you'll see that there are 8 negative charges and only 4 positive charges. That means the balloon is negatively charged. Similarly, the wool cloth now has a lot less negative charges, so it has become positively charged. Now, if we take that balloon that has a bunch of negative charges and we put it next to pieces of paper, if you look at the pieces of paper, you'll notice that each one has an equal amount of positive and negative charges. Remember, if an object has equal amounts of positive and negative charge, that means it's neutral. So, if you have one object, the balloon, that has an excess of negative charges, then that's going to want to pull either positive charges or it's going to repel negative charges. Since there is a lot of small pieces that have positive charges, what you'll notice in real life is that those positive charges of the pieces of paper are going to be attracted to the large negatively charged balloon. And so those pieces of paper are going to get pulled in close because the positive charge on the piece of paper is going to be attracted to the negative charges on the balloon. And so let's just recap, going back to our question, what type of force interactions do electrical charges produce? Describe them. So in order to answer that question, we know that electrical charges produce both attractive and repulsive electrical forces. When objects have equal amount of positive and negative charge, they are neutral. and we don't see an interaction between them. But when an object has unequal positive and negative charge, it is said to be charged. Charged objects are able to attract and repel some objects by their force fields. Like charges repel, while opposite charges attract. That concludes our video. This is Sean Academy signing out. That was your awesome video by Mr. Singh. Stay tuned for the next video whenever that comes out. See you later.